We are in the content studio. It is Friday night. We're going to do our annual draft breakdown show. We're super excited to do it. We love doing it every year. We're just going to be real crunched on time. There's been a crazy last couple of weeks, and the next week is going to be nuts. Draft on Sunday, All-Star game on Tuesday. Get to go watch Paul. Can't wait to do that. And man, isn't that wild? Right? Like a year ago, we were doing Paul's draft breakdown video and hoping that he was going to go where he went. Then he goes 1-1, and now he's not only in the big leagues, he's pitching the All-Star game. Pretty incredible stuff. Last year's draft was amazing because, as I talked about, it was an opportunity to talk about guys that have been in our program and with us since they were kids. And when we set this up, that's why we set this up. 12 years old to the big leagues. And really trying to help people for their careers, right? Help them maximize who they are and to achieve whatever potential that, God gave them. So this year is going to be another incredibly special draft. So we had 2 guys go in the first round last year. This year might be 3. Actually, all out of high school too. And we've known all of them since they're, Schief since he's 9, Bryce since he's 11, and Franco since he's 11. Let's kick it off with the 2024 draft breakdown videos with Harvard Westlake shortstop and pitcher Bryce Rainer. I cannot tell you how excited I am to do this. I made some bold claims about Paul last year, but I was right, wasn't I? I was right. In fact, if you go look at my draft breakdown video from when he was in high school, talked about it then too. And even though nobody knew who he was, I was still telling big league teams they should give him the moon because it was always special. And this has always been special. In fact, Paul, two-way guy, really, really strong hitter, some really, really big-time juice. A little bit of swing and miss there, right, which is why people had him as like a second or third round bat and a first round arm. But obviously, ceiling on the mound, ridiculous. This is totally different because this is the same as Paul on the mound, except it's Corey Seager at short and in the 3-hole. This might be the highest ceiling potential baseball player and the best player that I've ever seen. This is a special one. This should be 1-1 because of all of the things that he's capable of doing, on top of the fact that the IQ for the game is dumb. He's been a USA kid since he's like 10 years old. The special magic is how slow the kid's heartbeat is. The moment never gets too big. Everything is just so slow and relaxed and easy. It's absolutely incredible. Like, I feel like you could put him in a game in front of, 40,000 people in a Game 7 right now, and you're not even going to know if he's happy, excited, sad, or whatever, because he's just always so calm, cool, collected, and professional. Kid's been a USA kid since he's young, so he's heard all these incredible lessons on the way up. Let's break down some of his video. We're not going to do the fielding. We'll let, if Kai Correa wants to go break that down, we'll let him do it. Okay, so let the swing roll real quick. Obviously, there's some presence in the box here, right? 6'3.5", 6'4". I put on a little bit of size this year. But look at the athleticism. Oh, my God, that is awfully pretty, isn't it? Look how smooth that is, right? Look at nice, easy load. Beautiful timing. And let's get to landing, okay? So landing is a really important position to pay attention to, right? Great hitters, some serious similarities in how they land. That's why that position is something that's always been so important for coaches to look at. Everybody's always known that great hitters land really square. Take a look at this position right here, right? This is not someone that you really want to pitch to because the coverage of speed and spin is going to be elite when you have moves like this. Why? After he gets to landing, you notice how his back foot kind of, as he's getting into landing, it kind of leaves, goes to the inside. He left his back foot, right? That means all of the pressure supporting him is in the front. You're going to see that same thing from guys like Mike Trout, guys like Fernando Tatis, guys like Nolan Arenado, okay? And when you move like that, now you are on time to absolutely destroy a fastball. But if you get an off-speed pitch, because you have all that weight against the front, now you can go out and get it because the fastball you're going to hit here, but the off-speed pitch is slower. You got to keep going. Now, let's look at how efficient this turn is, okay? So he's landed, ball's about the cut of the grass. This is the definition of efficiency and space. Think of it as like how quickly pieces connect. Watch, when the trunk turns, the barrel goes with it right away. 1, 2, 3, right? Like, that's as efficient gets. And look how clean he's using that space, right? Roll back to the beginning, right? So what is space? Space is this window, right? When we hit, right, ball's going to be down here, but we have to get our upper body, our arms in that barrel to cleanly connect and travel freely through that window. You never want to see anybody get stuck or pinned or have anything tied up. I mean, that's about as elite gets. Let's go to the next swing. So this was a breaking ball down, I believe, or an off-speed pitch down and away. Whoa! Look at that. Watch, go to landing here. Look at the adjustment of the posture and the hands. That's electric. That's incredible. These are elite, major league, 275 plus, 30 plus kind of moves. Let's go to the next slide, please. So like I said, Bryce has been doing this his whole life. This is his freshman year of high school, starting on varsity, hitting an absolute free. And look how saucy that. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. He's on varsity. That's a 14-year-old kid taking a varsity pitcher yard, dancing out of the box. He's always known. It's always been there. Look how athletic. Now, right, think about how hard this game is. And I already said he's been the best. Do great players ever struggle? They ever have times where things aren't as clean? Absolutely. Let's go to the next slide. In the summertime, I go on the circuit. We have a lot of elite players, and I go and show up at the tournaments early with some of the crew, and we work with guys, get them prepped, throw bullpens, hit. Last summer, I hadn't seen Bryce in a while. I didn't see him too much the year before, and I'd already moved to Knoxville that year, so I probably hadn't had good conversation with him, probably in about a year and a half. And I was out at the event, and I was watching him move around, and it didn't look like him. Did not look like him. Let's take a look. Let's take a look. Let's see what's going on. Yeah, that's not him. That's not Bryce. Because Bryce doesn't miss pitches like that. Bryce been hitting tanks on those pitches since he was a freshman. Look at the positioning of the body. Look at the hands and how everything's tucked in and how he's all tucked onto his back leg. As hitters, as coaches, people play with stuff all the time. There's nothing wrong with that. But sometimes people play with the wrong things, and that can get you into some trouble. So if you understand what you look like and the things that you're doing when you're moving at your best, then it's always great to go back at that video. So I had a conversation with him, and he didn't feel very good. He knew he didn't feel good. He knew he wasn't himself. So we talked about it, decided to start some training stuff again, see what we could do to help. And this last year, really got after it. It's been a very, very cool year to watch what he did. And what's incredible, what's really incredible is how fast he was able to like change all this stuff. That's one of the reasons I think he's such a generational kind of talent and kind of kid, because I work with players all the time, I work with big leaguers all the time. Even they do not have the ability to make changes like that fast. There are some, yes, there's guys at that level that, yes, that's what makes some of them, but it's hard, and it's harder than you think. And this guy made these changes like that. This was another swing, right? You can just see how stuck everything is and how pinned, and he's never getting to the front. He's not stable. He's got nothing to hit against. Okay, so now we're going to take a look at some of the work we did. Okay, so obviously, look where that tee is. It's really far away from him, and it's really far out front. Why do you think that might be? Well, old Bryce used to be athletic and get to the front. That Bryce from last summer was kind of stuck back, just kind of hanging out, right? He was getting a little reachy. So all we did was move a tee away, stick it out front, and say, hey, kid, let's go get it a little bit. Let's allow ourselves to attack the ball. Let's get to landing position here. Obviously, this is a better landing position, right, than where he was in that video that you just watched, right? But it's not quite as good as what you saw from him all season. But this literally took like a couple of months, and it kept getting better the whole time. This was end of the fall or beginning of the winter, I think. And this is Bryce, right? Hi, good to see you again. Okay, this is a 1-1 pick right here. This is a Corey Seager potentially with more juice, right? These balls are being hit like 104, 107. Go ahead and get to landing, please. When it comes to timing mechanisms, there's a theory that I've always kind of had. And it's not 100%, it's not all the time, but it's really good. So watch this. There are some kids who are really good at third base. I mean, if you hit a ball 100 miles an hour down the line, like they can take a step, dive, backhand it, get up, blindfold throw, 100, pop, like no problem. But when you put them at shortstop, they get lost, right? They don't do a good job when they get extra time and space. Whereas other people do even better when they have extra time and space. Bryce is a middle infielder, right? Bryce, it's good for him to have a little bit of a rhythm. Does that mean it's always going to look exactly like that for the rest of his career? No. But I'll tell you what, he knows what he needs. And as he continues to move on, all the things he's going to keep playing with are all going to be real smart. Look what happened this last year. This kid went from being on the top of the moon to the industry telling him, nah, yeah, I don't think so, to him saying, oh yeah, boys, did you forget? And he doubled down. He doubled down. He said, I'm going to put in work. Watch this. And look what happened. Incredible. It's over 500 for the season. Absolutely demolishes all the competition for like 8 months in a row and is right back at the top as the top player in the class on both sides of the ball. Now let's talk about the mound. Earlier I said, that's a pretty bold statement, that this could be as good as Skeens on the mound. If you ask the travel ball industry, if you ask the people that have been watching him play this game since he's like 11 years old, 10 years old, since he's a little kid, they're going to tell you that when he's on the mound, championship game, Team U, it doesn't matter, it's ridiculous. It's the slowest heartbeat on the planet. He attacks people with everything he's got. He has command of every pitch that he has, an unbelievable feel for the zone and feel for the ball, right? It's that proprioception, his brain's ability to make his body do what he wants it to do. I want you to take a look at this, and I want you to realize this is a high school kid, and this is like 96, 97, okay? You ready? You ready? See how easy that is? And part of that is because when you look at the testing, this kid's body is like the 1% of the 1% of the 1%. He scores through the roof on everything from vertical and all of the testing that they do. It's ridiculously, ridiculously special, and the feel for spin is crazy. Now let's take a look at this video. This is that was area codes. That was just his first time on the mountain. Now look at this, right? Yowza. Smell you. Now, here's the thing, okay? During PG National, when we went to go hit, work with a lot of major league organizations, I'm in the scouting community, talked to everybody. I knew his stock was dropping. I heard people talking, and one of the things everyone was talking about was the fact he wasn't pitching, and everybody wanted to know why. So when we went to go hit, I sat down with him and his dad and was like, all right, like, what's the deal? Is this because you don't want to pitch anymore? I mean, it doesn't matter. Like, I don't care. Like, you're going to be a first rounder as a shortstop anyway. Or is it because your arm hurts? He's like, no, my arm hurts. It's like, all right, why don't we fix it, right? If you like to pitch and you want to do that, I mean, you might be one of the best pitchers I've ever seen at your age. So if you want to do that, let's fix it. We got to work, and literally, it did not take long. 4 weeks. So this is what it looked like when we started. That was him playing catch down at Fuel Factory in Arizona. Shout out to my boy Zing. Look at how high that is, right? I've been watching him since he's 11, and I worked with him a lot from like 11 to 14. He was always here. He always threw like a shortstop. Never had an arm problem. Always threw gas. Always dotted, right? No problems. You know, coaches, players, people are going to play with stuff all the time. But when it comes to arms, man, if you change something and your arm hurts, it's because you changed something. A lot of times kids get told that they should throw from over the top because it's going to help them. And when coaches say that stuff, they're saying it because they don't want you to get hurt. They genuinely think that that's going to hurt you. Well, I got news for you. It's the opposite. Throwing over the top, if done poorly, because of the change in elevation at the elbow and the hike into the shoulder, and that puts pressure in the joints in places it doesn't want to, and that's not how the human arm works. We talked about it, and did not take long for him to find his slot again. For him, relatively easy. There are other guys that taking that pattern and making it the other one you just saw, man, that might take 6 months, might take 8 months, might take a year. He did it in like 3 weeks. Right? That's pretty different. That's kind of crazy. The other thing that was talked about with him was that he needed to try to reach out more, right? Somebody was concerned for his arm health. Somebody saw him recoiling his arm, and they felt like he would get hurt if he kept doing it. And that's just a matter of education. The game told people that for a long time. The game was wrong. So as we continue to get this information out, it's not just going to help coaches everywhere, but it's going to help players everywhere. Because as soon as he dropped his slot back and started slamming on the brakes again, he's fine. And not just fine. Probably has less than 50 Newton meters on a 96 mile an hour fastball. Probably do it 100 times in a row and make it look like he's ready for round 2 right when he's done. I can't express enough how special this is. All right, let's go to the next one. This was like 3 weeks later. This was down in San Diego about a week before area codes. Okay, this was I think the first bullpen that we threw there. So go ahead and slow down your screen after, right? But this one and the next one from 3 days later, different. We did a little water bag work here. We needed to get him to feel that flow and sending that energy down through the front side. Watch this. One's different than the other one, guys. That one's different. These are not the same. And he was able to go from that to this in like 3 weeks and then go to the next one. This is 90. It's 90 miles an hour from a high school kid. Go to the next one. Butter. This is where it got, right? And that was in like 3 weeks. And then you saw, obviously, what happened after that. I don't understand why teams do this, okay? I do this for a living. I work in player development. In fact, all of your teams have coaches and trainers and scientists that call me for advice. They call us for advice. They got people sending us players, right? Rehabbing arms. How come people don't listen? Why is it that all of you feel that Ohtani can do it and other people, but this kid can't? Because you can't develop them on the same exact timeline. So what if, guys, you never know anything unless you try. If you have guys that are two-way guys and they are better options than other guys that are potential picks, it makes no sense to not allow them to have a shot. I'm not saying you do this with everybody. I'm not saying you do it with the 30th rounder. I'm saying that when you put all the kids on the field and you rate all the skills, okay, and you say, this kid is better than all these guys at this. He's going to be our big league shortstop one day. And then you look at this kid over here and you say, a different guy, different scout says, hey, this kid is better than all these people. He's going to be Paul Skeens one day. What the hell is wrong with us? Why not let him do both? Because Ohtani is not the only one capable of it. And I got news for you. I think if you take this kid and put him at short, you write him in the 3-hole. And then if you just used him as a reliever, make him a closer, setup man, he's got a slow heartbeat. I mean, how nice would it be if you just had an extra dude that was regularly prepared to come in and blow cheese with 4 pitches for strikes that has a slow heartbeat? A guy like this is a guy that can change the face of an organization. This is somebody that if you're say the Pirates, oh man, whoa, if you're the Pirates, and you got Bryce Rainer and you let him do both, I mean, have elite people do both so you have extra tools. For me, I train two-way players because we create baseball players. We train them to do what they want to do to become as elite as they possibly can at both. You saw Skeens last year. You're seeing Rainer this year. You're also seeing Noah Franco that we're going to talk about. He's a first-rounder on both sides, too. Teams can't decide. I just don't understand why we have to keep deciding. This is a special one. This should be 1-1. This might be the highest ceiling that I've ever seen. The next player that we're going to break down is 2024 left-handed pitcher out of Corona High School in Corona, California, Ethan Schiefelbien. This is the most polished left-handed pitcher we've seen in the draft since Libitor, and I love Libby, but I got news for you. I think this is more advanced at this stage. Let's take a look at his stuff real quick. We're going to take a look at the breaking ball first. That's absolutely disgusting. It's sharp. It's late. Command of it is elite. Big time spin, big time feel. There's a couple different depths that he can throw it at. He throws it very purposefully in very different ways. He'll take a little speed off. He'll add a little bit. He'll shorten it. He'll lengthen it. When I tell you that he knows how to pitch, that is like the understatement of the century. The fastball is an invisible. Let me give you an understanding of metrics real quick. So induced vertical break, that is a metric. It gives us an understanding of the differential between where a hitter's eyes think the ball is going to go and then where it actually goes, right? So when you have people that are pitching at the top of the zone, the ones that are most effective have the highest IVB, right? So if you're like 17 or better, you know, you can go belt up pretty often. If you go 20, you better live there all the time. If you're 22, 20, like D1 school, right? It's the highest level, the largest schools, the best players. He's on a team with the best players in the country right now with Seth, Billy, Brady. It's ridiculous. And he plays against all the best competition. He plays against Harvard, Westlake, OLU, all these guys. He's been on varsity since as a freshman. Go look up his numbers. He's been dominating at that level since he's 14 years old, because even when you throw 84, if you got 24 inches of IVB, it's still an invisible. And when you got feel for a breaking ball, you understand how to tunnel, and you're the type of competitor this kid is. I've known this kid since he's like 9 years old, okay? This is a video from his evaluation, and I nicknamed him Savage. At like 9, he's in my phone as Savage. I've been calling him that since he's a kid. And the reason I nicknamed him that is because when he walks in a room, he looks like a math professor, okay? He looks like he belongs wearing corduroys, a fedora with a feather. He's also quiet and unassuming, and you wouldn't expect it. But when you ask him to compete, the whole thing changes. It's like a Jekyll and Hyde. He turns into the most savage competitor that you've ever seen. It is cutthroat and it is intense. Everything he has goes into it. And that's why it's so fun to watch him pitch. Like when you go watch him pitch, if he strikes somebody out in a big moment, he's going to be walking around the mound. He's got smoke coming out of his nose. He's like staring down hitters, and it's like unconscious. It's like he blacks out. He doesn't even know he's doing it. He's so in it that just exudes and pours out of him. When you look at the fastball, the way it is at 21 to 24, the breaking ball, he's got a couple different fastballs that he throws. In fact, I got an idea for you. If you want to know more about how this kid uses his stuff, there is another video. We'll put a link to it. So I wanted him to have an opportunity to showcase a little bit about like who he was up here. Okay? I mean, we're talking he could have gotten into any school in the country, committed to UCLA, like a 4.6 student, like a 1500 SAT. He's like a Maddox type of guy. He's a brain surgeon, right? That also happens to be a savage competitor with a 95-mile-an-hour fastball with 24 inches of IVB. You take the competitor, add in the brain, okay, and then you mix in weapons. This is the most polished left-handed pitcher we've seen in the draft since Libator, and I love Libby, but I got news for you. I think this is more advanced at this stage. Fastball metrics, the understanding of how to use all the weapons, it's literally ridiculous. And at the end of the day, the kid also knows who he is. He knows how to train. He knows how to develop. He understands metrics. He knows how to play with his pitches. He's going to continue to evolve. Nothing and no one is going to stop him. And when I tell you that this kid, aside from the physicality, right, and the fact he doesn't throw 100, this is just like Skeens. The mind is the same. As a coach, you tell kids to journal, right? You tell kids to journal, keep track of things, keep a record, have an understanding of what's working, what's not. The percentage of players that you work with that actually does that is about that much. The percentage of those guys that do it really well and really care that they do it at an elite level is about that much. You ask Paul to look at his journals, thick, meaty. This kid's been doing his own off-season, like writing his own programming, because we always show guys how to do this stuff. Give them an opportunity to own it. This kid's been doing his off-season shutdowns and plannings and on-ramping. He literally has a calendar of all of his bullpens and all the pitches he's thrown the last few years through high school. Think about that. If you're a major league organization right now and you have other pitchers on your board that are above this kid, right, especially if they're, and I get the college thing, but like, this is different, man. This is different. This is first round. This is fly through the minor leagues. This is polished prospect. And I feel so blessed. It is crazy that this kid was around basically almost when we opened. I think he started with us in like 2015. Maybe been open a year. This was one of the earlier kids that came in. So, to watch him work the way he did and go in the shop 3-4 days a week and use all the information and go get more information in other places and ask everyone he ever meets, every question that he has. And it's just, it's a pleasure to be able to do this. It's a pleasure to be able to talk about him. And I cannot wait to watch the rest of his career unfold, because it's going to be a good one, because he's going to be real good for a real long time. The next prospect we have for you is a 2024 outfielder, first baseman, left-handed pitcher out of IMG Academy in Florida, Noah Franco. First thing I want you to key into is that it says former top-ranked 2025 prospect before reclassifying. 5-tool prospect with two-way potential, still growing and will be young on his draft day. Okay, now let's go to the next one. PG got a pretty good report here. They did a really good job with this one. Let's take a look and see what it says. 6'3", 192 pounds. High-waisted frame, extra long limbs for the height, 6'5", 60-yard dash, primary outfielder, really good instincts, long strides and good routes. That's an understatement. When you watch this kid walk around, he's just a big, broad kid. He's really hard to miss. You would never expect him to look the way he does when he runs in the outfield or runs the bases. One of the things that I told him before all the showcases, like, man, whatever you can do, make sure you go out and show these people what it looks like when you run, because you look like a deer. The movements, the cadence is just absolutely gorgeous. The kid's an incredible, incredible athlete. Clean, fluid release, big arm strength up to 96. He set the first base velocity record. And by the way, if this kid ends up at first base, he's going to win a Gold Glove, right? Like, this is a really good defender, is a really good baseball player. Lots of feel, really, really high IQ, right? Left-handed swing. The wrists are elite, allowing him to flick the barrel with authority late in the process, right? All fields approach, lift and carry, hammers baseballs in games. Could not agree more. Left-handed pitcher, loose arm action, big upside, and the ball comes out clean. Ride to the heater when down, lands the curveball, which is now a slider. Excellent athlete. And here, just key in on this real quick. The highest level two-way potential at the next level, and an excellent student. Let's move on to the next one, please, Case. So this is him when he's 11 years old, right? That was the OC shop. This kid has been working for what he does for a really long time. And he has a really, really good mind with a really, really high IQ and a whole lot of feel for the game on both sides. The things that I talked about Rainer earlier, it's the same kind of things that we're talking about here. And the mind is really good. Okay, let's keep going, right? And since he's been elite, since he was a kid, let me put it to you like this. People say that when they're young, nobody can know. That's nonsense. The truth is, there are kids you can count in. You just can't count everybody out, because there are kids who will work over time and get there. Him and Bryce have always been there. He's been in 177 PG articles. I don't know how many all-tournament teams and all, but it's pretty much every one of them since he's like 10 or 12. Him and Bryce have been doing this forever, on both sides. His body looks kind of like Hamill's, but from the left side as a pitcher, it's closer to Hader. In fact, let's go ahead, let's keep going. I want you to pay attention to this real quick, because I think this is really important. This kid's like a 4-time USA, I believe, but I want you to look at this. See how it says 18U national team in 2023? And did you see how he also reclassed, right, and went up? See how it says 18U national team in 2022? Wow. So he was 16 playing on the 18U National. I wonder how he did. All 8 games, batted .348, 2 homers, 9 RBIs, 3-hit day, including a grand slam, homered, Puerto Rico. He's been doing this at the highest level of the game since he's this big. All he's done is continue to work. He's got elite feel for the game, elite feel for his body, and he can do it on both sides of the ball. All right, so let's take a look at the pitching now. Watch this. Okay, watch it again. Watch it again. Play it again. That's gross. This kid has incredible, incredible feel. And as a result, even though he's in Florida, he's from California. He used to come into our Orange County shop all the time. And then, we moved to Tennessee. He moves to Florida. We only get to see each other a couple times a year, some FaceTime, some Zoom. But we don't get to do the regular work together all the time. I go down there. He had topped out at 94 was the highest he had hit at that point, and he had hit that right after the last session when I went down. So I go down to visit, right? Go down to IMG, And we were trying to get him to catch a little bit more of a little easy drift, right? And work that counter. And that's what we were working on here, right? And I believe that if we were able to get him to do that a little more effectively, we'd get his body to a better position, put a little bit more force in the front side, a little more stability. Okay, now go back to the video of the game. So this was like that next week, and he hit a 7, okay? He was able multiple times to take a short-term visit, get a couple of feels, take it on his own and run with it, and then gain 3 miles an hour of velocity. His sophomore year of high school, he hit 97 from the left side. Then his junior year of high school, he decided to reclass and become a senior, and now he's in the draft. If you're a big league team and this kid is not scheduled in your top 2 rounds, you're lost. I don't know what to tell you. You're completely lost. He reclassed. He played on 18U as a 16U. He's dominated on both sides of the ball. He's a 6'5" runner with elite feel for the game. Everybody's arguing in baseball right now about which side of the ball he's going to go on. Is he going to be a pitcher or the upsides more? He's like Hamels, but he could be like Hader. He's got a slider with 24 inches of horizontal. He's up to 97 with the fastball. As a hitter, he runs like a deer in the outfield. He's got great bat-to-ball skills. He's always hit. He's never not hit his entire life. How is everybody arguing about one or the other without giving them the opportunity to do both? But even more so, how is he not listed in the first round in more of these draft boards? His track record is this long of performing at that high of a level with evaluators consistently all the time since he's a kid. Seeing all of this, it's absolutely incredible to me because you have guys that are ranked in certain places in the draft that are kind of like, hey, this guy just showed up to the party and he's got some skills. I mean, not 4-time USA, polish, feel, both sides, physicality, run, throw gas, hit bombs. Him and Rainer are different cats. This is a guy that should be put in the outfield. You put him at first base, he's going to win a Gold Glove. Put him in the outfield, he's going to run like a deer, hose people, hit consistently. I see like a Markakis with some more juice. It's a very Markakis-y feel with a little bit more juice. And then, by the way, how about 60, 80 innings a year as a left-handed specialist or closer or setup man? I mean, wouldn't it be nice, right, to not use some dudes out of the bullpen and to be able to just take a lefty and give him in a nice lefty-lefty matchup or eat up a couple innings at like 4 to 6 pumping strikes, 24 horizontal, then he'd come up and hit a bomb? They've been doing this forever. Paul, Noah, Bryce, we got more of them. Next, you're going to see Billy Carlson come up. Seth Hernandez came a long way with the stick this year. These kids, if you have the ability to do one, you often have the ability to do both. And if you train them like that from a young age, it doesn't go away. So bottom line is, Noah is a first-round bat. Noah's a first-round arm. Noah's a first-round mind, right? Look at who gets to hang out together, right? Like last year at Bridge the Gap, you got Noah, you got Paul. Put those guys together for a reason. Paul's showing Noah how he journals, and they're talking about like, this is just like that. Same kind of thing. As a facility, we were blessed to work really, really hard, and we had so many kids that were wanting to come in that we had a really long wait list, and a second shop that opened with a wait list when it opened. That was around the time Paul was one of the first players at the second shop when it opened. Bryce was one of the players at the second shop when it opened. Noah was one of the players at the second shop when it opened. We wanted to build a culture. As the saying goes, iron sharpens iron. So if you can surround all of these kids that are all in on trying to figure out how great they can be, where players are learning how to design their own workouts and collaborating and trying to figure stuff out, the environment gets pretty electric, right? You get a whole bunch of people on the same page, going the same direction, all challenging each other. trying to figure out how great they can be. And that's, I think, a big part of why I get to talk to you all about all these incredible players that we've had the opportunity to have come through our program. We're going to talk about quite a few more. We got guys like Jackson Walker coming up on the list. We're going to talk a little bit about Pierce George. We're going to talk about Peyton Stovall. That's a name that you have to know, because where he is ranked right now at 77 is not a representation of where that kid should get drafted. Or what he should be. So we're going to dig into all that stuff in a little bit different version of the show tomorrow.